So we started the company with my business partner in 2012 with an idea, as everyone founder does, to start something, get something up and running, and then the next 3 years, get the unicorn status and exit, which is not what actually happened. It's been a long journey. So more than 12, 13 years.
If you can bootstrap a business in a competitive space, competitive sector, in a product buying cycle, and you could bootstrap it, do that. You will be so much happier. You won't have people that may not have the same incentives as you on your board telling you what to do. And those people might have a different timeline than you because they have a fund and they have to exit that fund in a certain timeline to give money back to their investor. Your business might have a different one.
We had a big capital acquisition offer on the table, and we had to choose between that and raising a venture round and continuing to build. And the team knew that this acquisition offer was on the table. We knew what the upside could be, but it meant that we would be kind of pulled from our mission, and we weren't going to be running. We were going to be absorbed as to being part of another company, and we made a decision that we were going to build it on our own, and so we rejected it. We went and raised a venture capital round and did some amazing things over the next 18 months, and ultimately we failed. The business, the company as a business failed and had to be restructured. As the two founders, we turned down a lot of money. And I'd make the same decision again. And despite the allure of money, it wasn't why we were building the company. I don't think it's why you build a company. You build a company to get a group of people together to do something amazing.
I think many founders, they love the whole idea of raising money and raising venture money because they're building on someone else's risk. Well, in that case, of course, these are then firms who also want to be compensated for their risk, right? If I'm a VC and I give someone $3 million to start off with, well, I'm going now into the risk. So of course I want something of the bigger pie once it's being sold.
If you look at the outcomes from a financial perspective only of building a venture-backable unicorn or a venture-backed unicorn, actually from a founder's perspective, depending on a variety of factors, right? But liquidity preferences, the amount of capital you've raised, etc., it can be not as impactful from a personal financial returns point of view to build a $1 billion company versus a £50 million company where you've taken minimal or no equity investment.
Payment terms. The one thing that I will fixate on in any contract agreement is payment terms. I want my cash as soon as possible. So in the logistics world and a retail world, the standard payment terms for any vendor are net 30, net 60, net 90. Net 90 is not something that people are surprised by. My proudest achievement that I would say is not really getting Walmart as a client, which is a Fortune 1 customer, is getting Walmart to agree to net 15 payment terms. Is by far the biggest achievement that I would consider in my career. Getting Walmart and Foot Locker and Nespresso to payment terms that they don't usually agree to. That's what I would say is what saved the company.
She appeared on Shark Tank Australia, securing a deal from a famous Australian entrepreneur. But she turned around and rejected that deal and also bought out an external investor she brought on because she wanted 100% control of our platform in order to protect its mission.
If you have the ability to be able to bootstrap early on, I would strongly recommend it. It is very expensive to go to backers very, very early on. Unless I validated an idea and I've sort of put my personal wealth at risk, I would never be comfortable with going out to others to ask for backing of an idea.
I thought when you took on investment, it would be like having that mentor, the advisors, people I could reach out to. That was not what we experienced. And we were really profitable and I could buy them back out and they were happy. They made their money. They certainly didn't get their 10x, but they did well out of us. And I got 100% ownership and I didn't have to report to them. I didn't have to talk to them. I was happy. Everyone was happy. And then I was very determined that BirthBeat 100% was going to stay mine.
Most companies that we actually acquired, they're often bootstrap companies. So these were actually more often lifestyle businesses, which means they've been run a certain way for the last 10, 15 years. And an exit is nothing they planned for. An exit is, they have a reason to sell. And then all of a sudden they're thinking about it. But if you're able to bootstrap a business to a 20 million exit, I think that's great. I do think it's a trade-off because if you're bootstrapping this, it's not that easy. I've bought many bootstrap businesses and you hear their war stories and the things they've done on the way to get there. And it's remarkable. They're actually putting their own money into this. They're putting their own sweat and tears and hours into this. I think it's a very, very difficult journey to bootstrap. Now, on the other side, you're fully right. If you successfully bootstrap and you are able to achieve an exit, you are able to genuinely have a very large amount go into your pocket. So I think there's a certain amount of risk reward ratio.
We saw the venture capital market over a number of rounds. That's a very small amount of money to build a drone delivery company. You know, over the same amount of time, anecdotally, Google spent $2 billion building a drone delivery company. And so we were able to do a lot with a tiny amount of capital by having a laser sharp focus on the product and keeping our product in the market with paying customers to iterate on it, just like you would a piece of software.
Early stage is really just about the team, because let's be real, early stage, people are just backing you, being able to sort of tell your story and why you are the right person for the job to be able to solve this specific problem. I think that's incredibly important, right? Number two would be market size, because it's really those two combinations that it's, do you have a problem? Are you the right person to fix it? And is it a large enough problem that it's worth fixing? Is a problem that you've picked large enough or potentially could be large enough for people to want to care about? Third thereafter would be traction. I actually don't think, as an early stage founder, yes, people 100% want to see some kind of traction, but if you have boxes 1 and 2 checked off, third is kind of the product of those two, right? Give you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, top 3 things that teams need to focus on to get to IPO. 1 is choose a market that is highly competitive. Okay, that's one thing. 2 is to focus on building a rinse repeat machine to scale up the sales of this product. Because if you're not getting a lot of sales, no one's going to buy your business. You can't. And I would say the third thing is make sure that your product fits into the buying pattern of the customer.
It's counterintuitive to the way founders think. Choosing a market that is competitive. Why is that so? Why is that really important?
Because you know that there are buyers. That's why I think if you choose a market that is not very competitive, there aren't many players there, there's a substantial risk that nobody's going to want to buy your business.
I wish everybody to have the unicorn after 3-4 years. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for us. But I think patience is key. Patience is key to sustain the relationship with the same person, with the same co-founder for 12 years. Patience is key to make sure that you negotiate a good deal during an acquisition. Patience is key.
I'll just emphasize 3 things that I think are important to remember and that I keep reminding myself about. Number 1, cash flow is king. Forget profitability, focus on cash flow. When is money coming in versus when are you sending it out? Number 2, if you don't ask, you never get. That's again something that I have found helps me more often than it doesn't. And number 3, imposter syndrome never goes away, and that's fine. That's really the crux of it. Make other people look good, and you will succeed.
What does hustle really mean?
I'll give you a great story. A friend of mine wanted to start a business that was helping restaurants that had leftover food to be able to bring that food to like a shelter or somewhere else where they could use that food, right? And he was asking me he was like, oh, like, what should we do? And he was telling me he wants to build his marketplace and this website. And I just look at him. I say, listen, stop. And you need to go and rent a car, okay? Rent a white van and drive to the place that has food and pick it up and then go to someone that needs it and deliver it and take notes on everything that happened, right? And document it. That is day 1 of your business. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship. It's just this get shit done, hustle and make things work and use your raw intelligence to innovate.
I'm a big believer of get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you're sitting in something and thinking, this feels really uncomfortable, there's probably a reason. It's because you're learning or you're outside of your comfort zone.